Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Thunder Today YouTube channel. I am your host, Dylan Hibbard, and in today's video, we're going to go over and kind of talk about what the possibility of the big three of being Shai, J-Dub, and Chet of making the All-NBA. We'll see the likely chances and what kind of needs to happen for that to happen. We're also going to talk about the Lakers and them possibly being the second biggest threat to the Thunder's repeating title chances this upcoming season. We'll also kind of look at a draft prospect to kind of keep your eye on throughout this next college basketball season. If you're also a person who likes college basketball, somebody to kind of keep your eye out on for the Thunder. And then at the end, we'll do our trade rumor / off-season move for the Thunder that we could see happen. So first off, kind of just talking about the likely possibility of the Thunder Big Three making all NBA teams this upcoming season. And we feel like, barring injury and knock on wood, that there isn't any major injuries this year and that everybody can make it to that 65-game threshold. You would assume Shai's almost a guaranteed lock for at least an All-NBA team of some sort. Not necessarily guaranteed first team, but there's a very good chance that he will be that first team. So you assume Shai's going to be there. We saw J-Dub get All-NBA third team, and if we expect him to continue to get better and make that jump like we know he can, we expect him to be there. And really it just comes down to, can Chet make that big jump and make the All-NBA? And you have to kind of think about it as you look, the All-NBA is not necessarily the top 15 best players, because you have guys like a Wemby or somebody might get hurt and they're injured and they're not going to be able to make the All-NBA teams or get awards. So can Chet be playing all 65 games and also be one of the best big men in the league? You have to look at it at kind of the big man that you would see go ahead of Chet or Chet might be competing with. You instantly think of Jokic and Wemby, barring, obviously we're talking about if everybody's healthy this year. Jokic and Wemby are probably going to be up there somewhere. You also have to think of somebody like a Karl Anthony Towns could very well be up there on the Knicks. And I think Chet's kind of in that scenario where if he can play like we know he can and stay healthy, he's most likely going to get that All-NBA third team. And the guys that you're kind of going to be competing around in that area are your guys like Sengun on the Rockets. You have Jaren Jackson Jr. on the Grizzlies. The bigger guys that play defense but also will put up big numbers. Domantas Sabonis, who we talked about yesterday. Those guys are the type of guys that Chet will have to compete with. And for Chet, I really think he has to get to that averaging 20 mark. And that's very hard to do, especially when you already have your best player on the team going out there and averaging 31 on every single night. And if J-Dub continues to grow and jump and fold into his game, he's going to go out there and average around 23, 25 points. So if Chet can average 20, that means you're having your big three average nearly 80 points. And that's very possible. And with the Thunder and how their role players go, I don't think they would necessarily play, and I don't think the players care really what their averages are as long as they are continuing to build on what they built last season and just getting better as a team. So I do think it's a very well possibility. I think we might also be a year out from that. I think we have to see what we get from Chet this year if he's able to stay healthy and what his numbers are. And we kind of have to be aware of everybody else around the league, especially those big guys, what they're putting up as well. So you guys will have to let me know down below what you think the chances of the big three all making an All-NBA team are for the Thunder this upcoming season. But now we'll kind of switch over the gears into talking about the Lakers and how I think they could legitimately be the second biggest threat to the Thunder's title chances in this upcoming season. And I think without a doubt, before we get going, I think the Nuggets all season long will be the number one threat to the Thunder. I don't think, barring obviously injuries, like I'll keep saying, we're just assuming in these videos everybody's healthy. I don't see a team that comes close to the Thunder other than the Nuggets. You got the Nuggets where they subtracted Porter Jr. and brought in Cam Johnson, a guy who I think is much better than Porter Jr. You brought back Bruce Brown, who was a part of your championship team 3 seasons ago, and now you got your backup center where he's a very high-quality backup center in Jonas Valanciunas, where he allows Jokic to actually have rest in these types of games. And we talked about how the Nuggets, they were just didn't have a bench, and Jokic and Murray were completely gassed by the fourth quarter, and the Thunder starters were fresh because they had such a deeper team. And for the Lakers, I think it legit just comes down to how good Luka has looked in this offseason. If you guys don't keep up with just NBA news in general, Luka has lost a bunch of weight. It looks like he's gone on an insane diet, and he looks very good. He's looked the best, at least this upcoming season. He's looked the best since around his rookie year, the first year or two in the league when he was still young and healthy before he kind of started on putting a bit more weight. And for the Lakers, I think they're a big threat because not only do you have Luka, who we know can go out there and go shot for shot most times with Luka, depending on, or not Luka, Shea. Those guys kind of even out, and then you have to look at other inside the game matchups like a Jada versus Braun. Will those two cancel each other out? Will DeAndre Ayton for the Lakers be the big man that they were looking for, the lob threat to kind of push them over the edge? Because you got to think the Timberwolves knocked out the Lakers in the first round because the Timberwolves had big man and the Lakers weren't able to rebound. They weren't able to get inside because they had nobody of value on the inside of the paint. Are we going to see another breakout year for Austin Reeves? Is he going to continue to go out there and be that third star for the Lakers? And I think they really have a chance to do that. Obviously, it also depends on how healthy LeBron can stay. Obviously, LeBron's going to go out there and you know what you're going to get for the most part. But we've seen in the past few years, because of his age, he's still going to go out there and beat Braun and be a big threat, but he's not out there averaging 28 and putting up crazy numbers every single night. That's going to be Luka's job. So for the Lakers and the Thunder, for the Thunder side of it, they really just, when those Lakers-Thunder matchups get going, you got to kind of have to look at it from, those will be big matchups that we have to pay attention to, especially because we've seen in the past the Thunder kind of struggled against the Lakers in certain points. So it's going to be up to the Thunder to know that the Lakers are going to be a big threat throughout this entire year. And maybe at the trade deadline, there's somebody out there, maybe they're struggling with the bench depth. We know the Lakers will go out there and make moves. So it's something to kind of keep your eye out on if you're a Thunder fan, that the Lakers could very well be one of those guys that, or one of the teams that could give the Thunder problems. And we'll kind of transition now to quickly talking about a draft pick for the Thunder to kind of keep your eyes out on if you're a college basketball fan, and that is Alex Condon from Florida. He's a big guy who is averaging 10.5, 7.5 with a block, shooting nearly 39% from three. And this comes with the news of Thomas Sorber being out, maybe the Thunder, and now with knowing that most likely Isaiah Hartenstein, we're not going to pick up his option after this season with the Big Three's contract hitting. Condon can be another one of those bigger guys that can play inside but also be able to stretch the floor out. And we're going to see, he's kind of an older guy in the college world, but for the Thunder, we need guys that will be older and being able to make an instant impact right away. We're not looking for guys that will take 2-3 years to develop because the Thunder are in a win-now mode. And being able to get guys in the first round that, when everybody else is looking at these young guys hoping for the potential and all that, the Thunder can go out and get a guy at college when you know they're developed, they know what to do, they know their role, and you can get those more experienced guys and they can make an instant impact right away for a team that is looking for those type of guys that you can get on cheap deals, on the rookie deals, and make instant impacts where you're not having to pay so much money for somebody who makes that long-term impact for your team off the bench and in a role player essence. But now we'll kind of end the video talking about a questionable trade for Dylan Brooks on the Houston Rockets. We know he's kind of a figure in the league, kind of gets into some scrappy stuff, kind of a Draymond Green-esque player. And for this trade idea on the internet, it was for Isaiah Joe, Kenrich Williams, and 2 first-round picks. And this would be something where maybe if the Rockets and Thunder are looking for different things, maybe the Thunder's trying to get off the nearly $20 million that Isaiah Joe and Kenrich would be needing. And Dylan Brooks obviously fits the mold of what the Thunder are trying to do right away. A defensive guy who is scrappy, just like Lou Dort, gets in there and will get the steals and all that, but can also go out there and shoot decently well enough for the Thunder, which I don't know if it's worth it because we talked about yesterday how Isaiah Joe is the Thunder's best shooter. And if you're going to trade that in for Dylan Brooks, who's obviously a better defender, but doesn't necessarily shoot better, it's kind of a risk for the Thunder side of things. But if they want to look at it, and maybe even the Rockets call them up and like, we'll give you this and blah, blah, blah. But something to kind of look out throughout the entire season, especially depending on what the Rockets are looking like towards the trade deadline and us as well. That'll be it for me today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. It helps out the channel so much. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.